Innovative.
Dynamic.
Gritty.
Determined.
Warrior.
This podcast is about the innovators,
the leaders on the front lines of adversity,
the all-around good people doing good deeds.
They are the civic warriors of the world.
Withum's guests are the leaders in the nonprofit industry affecting change.
They try, they fail, they overcome.
Through their stories, we can join forces to become civic warriors.
Hey Warriors! On this episode of Civic Warriors, we talk with Glenn Jenkins and Armand Saxena about the extraordinary efforts being made by a special foundation, Embrace Kids. Embrace Kids Foundation makes it their mission to assist families whose children are facing serious health challenges, supporting them through emotional, financial, and spiritual means. We dive into the programs Embrace Kids has to support their mission and how they pivoted in the recent months to continue supporting their community. Let's welcome Glenn and Armand to the show. Welcome to the Civic Warriors podcast. Appreciate your guys' time, Glenn and Armand, for taking the time to chat with us, kind of share a little bit about Embrace Kids, which is a wonderful charity that we've known for a long time at Withum. Just one of our partners is actively involved on the board, and really we just we heard your story. We've seen a lot of it. I know we've been involved in various capacities as a firm, and so just wanted to hear a little more and really just get some conversation going and really how the world can help you. So I guess Glenn and Armand, if you guys just want to give a quick introduction to yourselves and bio about Embrace Kids, I think that'll help get the conversation going.
Sure. My name is Glenn Jenkins. I'm the executive director of Embrace Kids Foundation. I just completed my 19th in that role. Yes, I started 1 month after September 11th. So my first year was highly challenging with an unbelievable crisis. And my 19th year has been challenging with an unbelievable crisis.
My name is Armand Saxena, and I started at Embrace Kids full-time 6 years ago, but my history extends a little bit longer than that. When I was in college, I was very much involved with Rutgers Dance Marathon, which is a year-long fundraising event, student run at Rutgers University, which benefits Embrace Kids. And I was very involved with RUDM, and I worked for Embrace Kids part-time. And when my college career came to an end, I couldn't leave it. I wanted to explore more with Embrace Kids and do more. So I took on a full-time family liaison role, where I was the liaison between Embrace Kids and the patient families. And I developed my role more, took on more responsibilities, and now I'm the manager of programs and services, which is really nice. We all have the pleasure of working directly with the patient families, building relationships with them, and providing direct support, which is really what Embrace Kids is all about. It's very much relationship-based as an organization, building relationships with donors, the families, volunteers, everyone who's involved. It's really nice community.
And then in terms of background on Embrace Kids Foundation, we are starting our 30th year on January 1st, 30th year based in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and assisting local families whose kids have cancer, sickle cell, all blood disorders, now serious traumas, genetic disorders, cystic fibrosis, but with the overwhelming majority of help being pediatric cancer and blood disorder cases.
And you're operating mainly in New Brunswick. I think one of the things that I've noticed just in knowing your organization is you've developed a lot of very strong partnerships on so many levels. And Armand, I think you mentioned it kind of like a family environment, but I guess why don't you talk a little bit about how you've worked with Rutgers, worked with Robert Wood Johnson Hospital, worked with the students at Rutgers to really just create a great atmosphere and really help fulfill your mission.
Yeah, so when Embrace Kids was formed in 1991, it was very grassroots. It was a couple of parents from our program, a nurse, a counselor, and they started doing bake sales at the hospital for rolls of quarters for laundry and the now obsolete payphone. And
You don't use payphones anymore?
no. And in 1991, Rutgers Cancer Institute did not exist, and Robert Woods Children's Hospital did not exist. So there was just small programs based on a floor in the hospital. So what was great was Embrace Kids was there as these huge institutions were developed and built. So what it's meant over the 29 years is that we're really woven into the fabric of the medical programs in New Brunswick. We're considered an in-house agency, close family and friends of the medical programs. Since we've been here so long and then have a track record, credibility, relationships, that has given us special access to both the outpatient clinic and the children's hospital. It enables us to meet families there and kind of, exist behind the firewall of medicine, especially pediatrics. Firewall is particularly high because people are very protective of kids and then pediatric families. So that's the history that we've been there since day one, before the two big buildings or institutions were built.
Mm-hmm. And then speaking more on that, really being there since day one, I guess sort of is one of our mottos, because when we meet these families, that's what we focus on, is building a relationship with them. And when a family's child is first diagnosed with cancer or a serious illness, they might not want to meet us that day. They're just put into this vulnerable position, and there's a lot of uncertainty in their lives, and there's getting a lot of information thrown at them, new things, and the only thing they're thinking about is whether their child will survive, which is very tough. So when we come in and we meet them, there are some times where families are like, who are you? They're a little bit hesitant, as is. I always joke that in New Jersey, people are standoffish as is. So imagine it now. But what we do is we slowly break that wall down. We visit them every day. I tell the family when I meet them, you don't know who I am right now, but you're going to get to know me. We're going to be here for you every single day. We're going to check in on you. And anything that you need, please bring it to us, because we'll come up with a solution. We might not be able to solve it directly for you, but we'll figure out a solution. And we live up to that. We are there every single day. We check in on them. We might be the first ones who make their kids smile for the first time. Maybe after weeks of getting injected with needles and stuff, we're the ones who go in there, play with them, make them laugh for the first time. They see that. We bring them a warm meal from a local restaurant. We bring them a new patient bag, which is really nice, filled with goodies that they might not have thought to bring the first time in. So we slowly break down that barrier and that wall, and we really become an extension of their family from there. And they really come to trust us. And with that, we're able to really solve a lot of the problems that these families have, because trust goes such a long way. And as I said before, relationships are the bedrock of everything, and the rest are just details. So we're really able to provide full comprehensive support, know exactly what the family wants, because they let us in, and they feel safe with us, and they trust us, and we make sure that we're able to resource their needs.
That's great. And what's the process of you guys getting introduced to the family? So how does that work?
So as Glenn said, we are sort of woven into the fabric of the medical program there. So whenever a family is diagnosed, a new family's on the unit or on the floor, as we say, the medical team will actually reach out to us, and they'll say, hey, this is a great family that you should meet. Give us a little bit of background on them, and then we'll take it from there. So it's just referral based from the medical team usually.
Yeah, and what happens is we're there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
the medical team refers us, but then other parents refer us, and that's very powerful also. Now these parents are thrust into this highly unique situation of their child being sick, but there's actually other parents there going through that unique experience. So there's an immediate bonding, and then the parents who have been part of the program for a while are always saying, well, you have to meet the Embrace Kids people. You have to get to know them. And so through all of that begins the process of trust. But still, we take it slow. People are overwhelmed. They're guarded. Lots of times people will say, well, what do you want? Or what's the angle? Or it's understandable because people aren't just used to nice people showing up and helping with no strings. That's actually what we do. So we just keep showing up every day and we find a way to help, whether it takes a week or a month.
Yes, that's really nice. And it's also a testament to the Embrace Kids community. When we walk into the clinic or the floor, as Glenn said, a new parent might be there. It might be new for them and they're a little bit in shock, but then they'll see kids laughing, having a good time. Like we'll show up maybe with food. The kids run up to us and immediately start playing with us, and they see that comfort, so that helps them ease into the world, I guess, and into their new unfortunate normal.
Sure.
We bring food weekly, which is a great bridge. We bring lunch or dinner or ice cream for everybody. So
yeah, no one can pass up ice cream.
especially from Thomas Sweet in New Brunswick.
Especially from Thomas Sweet in New Brunswick. Yeah, that's a special day.
No,
you've never been to Thomas Sweet, New Brunswick?
Never.
There's actually one in the town I live too. The gentleman that owns it actually lives in the town I live in, and he has a couple of them. But yeah, no, their ice cream's phenomenal.
Yeah, you need to go and get a blended.
Yeah,
I will.
A great story about Glenn and Thomas Sweets, because we occasionally do Thomas Sweets at the floor, and we'll plan it out. But then we're so busy throughout the week, we can't spend like hours and hours on end at the Children's Hospital. So sometimes on a Friday afternoon, we'll go over to the Children's Hospital and just meet the families and really just get to spend time with them, because we're wrapped up with our day. We can really sit down, enjoy and relax and enjoy the time. And I think Glenn, it was a cold day too. It wasn't warm, but we're talking about Thomas Sweets, and then Blendins came up, and then one of the kids was like, I've never had that. I don't know what that is. And Glenn just gets up and leaves and comes back with Blendins for the floor.
Hold on, having experienced life. I'll be right back.
He just walked. I think it's like a 8-minute walk in the cold, and Glenn's like, "Oh, this won't do." This kid not having Thomas Sweet. So that was really nice. But that's
erroneous on all accounts.
Great story, yes.
So besides us liking ice cream, these small things build bridges too. And then when you build bridges, there's confidence, and then confidentiality in the communication from the families to us. And that sensitive information then allows us to help, whether it's pay bills, whether it's the kids having challenge with school, whether there's family dynamics, babysitting. They only have one car and it needs repair. These things, they're not easy for parents to bring forward. And so we have fun, and then we also build bridges, and it then creates the opportunity for the parent. They feel more comfortable, and eventually, one way or another, we build that communication bridge so that we could then be told, how we can help.
Yeah. Well, you guys come in and you're basically inserting yourself into a situation, trying to become close-knit family friends in a sense during a time when their stress level is at its highest, because that's really what it becomes. They're going to, right? Ideally, you want them to lean on you, to trust in you, to talk to you, to confide and open up. So it's like, hey, we really want to be there for you and be your friends first. And really, we want you to utilize the things that we have to offer. And that's, I'm sure that, like you said at the beginning, I'm sure they're like, well, what do you want out of this? And really, you just want to be there for them. But that's a high stress level time in their life that gives them, even with the parents, I'm sure that creates such a nice dynamic too in the hospital, because I'm sure, doctors can't always socialize and bring their like the personality to the equation all the time, or bring that kind of lighthearted spirit to the situation all the time. So then you guys kind of are like the family, the close-knit family friends who really just want to help you.
Yeah, and then also the parents. It's hard to get into all those other problems with your doctor or your medical team.
Yeah.
That's its own relationship, and then a lot of people, they don't want to tell their doctor they're struggling to pay bills or have no one to watch their other kids. So as a third party group, which is what we really are, friends, of the medical program, we're a good group of people for them to then bring all those other things to. A lot of them which are solvable problems. Unlike medicine, that's so complex and unpredictable, the problems that we ask people to bring us, they're actually solvable. With resources, with focus, with communication, most of those non-medical programs could be addressed.
Definitely.
So how many people are on your team, like employees and volunteers?
We have 4 full-time, so you're with half the full-time team.
Yep.
There's another family liaison, Matt, and then our administrative manager, Cynthia. We have a teacher who works half-time, and then we have a roster of Rutgers College students who work for us as ambassadors to the patient families. They're at the clinic and hospital. They attend all our big events. They help facilitate games, fun, communication, just a lot of the things we can't get to, and they act as an additional bridge.
Yeah. Now, Armand, that's how you got started with Embrace Kids, right?
Yes, that's exactly how. So my role when I was in college was I would help out the events, and then my day-to-day would be just at the children's hospital playing games with the kids. So it's honestly the best type of role that you could have. And then to further supplement that, and I was involved in this as well, we have many volunteers, but we run a program called Are You for Kids, where we are actually able to pair up individual student organizations, fraternities, sororities, athletic teams, clubs, co-ed professional groups, any group that you could think of. We can pair them up with a specific family. And that's so great because, they build a relationship of their own. The Are You for Kids student volunteers, they visit that family when they're in the hospital, at the clinic. They come to events with that family. They plan events outside as well. So that program really is the true gem of Embrace Kids, because we've seen some amazing relationships formed from that. And it's transformed treatment for a lot of children into a positive experience, actually. As wild, as absurd as that may sound, but there's so many times where the kid doesn't want to leave the hospital because his college buddies are there, and they just want to play video games with them because there's so much fun. And college students are really the right fit for this, because they're emotionally mature enough to handle something like this, but then they're also young and still very fun. I'm not saying that we're not fun anymore, but college students are still relatable a little bit.
They
more
got a lot of energy.
Kids.
Yeah, we're not as good at Call of Duty as some of the college kids these days, or whatever games they're playing these
or
days.
Like the latest lingo is. I don't know. I can't keep up with that. So
no.
Besides addressing tangible real world problems, then we're also Embrace Kids also addressing a lot of themes that everybody in life deals with. So one of them is loneliness. And then the college students come in through Are You for Kids and make our child patients feel special, and they have laughs. And that's invaluable to the kid. Then also the parent sees their child's morale pick up. But then there's even another piece. That social interaction then allows a parent to step out a little bit from being with their child, maybe chat with us about what problems the family is facing. So, because that's another challenge. Parent, lots of times a parent is there with a child, and then they're already dealing with medical consultations. How do you get into all these other problems? You don't want to talk, about those problems in front of your kid. So now we have college students there, and the child's having some laughs, and then it allows Armand, myself, a chance to talk to the parent, maybe dive into something that's tough.
Mhm.
So
Let down their guard a little bit,
yeah.
or a lot. I feel like that was a big yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, even just to leave. So it's a bunker mentality. The child's there, the parent is there. The parent's not leaving the bunker. There's a bathroom in the room, in each individual room. So parents don't leave. When I say they don't leave, days, weeks, sometimes months. So if a solid person that is there, sometimes a parent just taking a walk outside and getting fresh air, that's novel and special. So just think about us as people. I don't know about you guys. I love fresh air. To not go outside for long periods of time, that it has a psychological effect. So I can't tell you how many times, because Armand or another responsible person from the team are there to get fresh air, and maybe just take a walk to get coffee. Things that we really definitely take it for granted. It's powerful to be able to get a little fresh air and step
Yeah.
out.
Oh yeah, there's studies on that too. That was one of our episodes. We talked about that. 20 minutes of fresh air a day or a half an hour a day can really make a difference. And I'm sure when they do get out, or if you guys are helping them, bringing them coffee or whatever, but if they let down their guard a little, leave, then you know that they've kind of mentally unwinded even just a notch. And I'm sure that makes you feel good.
No, it is. It's a nice pressure valve for them.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot being in there constantly with your child, seeing them maybe go through a tough day. And as you said, being bunkered down, it's not healthy. It's important to get out, and you lose sight of that. You're too busy worried about taking care of your child that sometimes you lose sight of taking care of yourself as well. So it's great we're able to really help out in that aspect.
Opportunity to maybe not be brave, which the parents are always trying to do with their kids. To step out and make a call to your spouse, to your sibling, to your best friend, and express how you're actually feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an intense environment, and I'm sure they don't even realize how nonstop their minds are constantly just making sure that they're there, that they're doing the right thing, just grinding themselves kind of out through the day mentally. And I think a lot of times when somebody needs help, I think it's just in our nature to just wear ourselves as thin as possible most of the time, especially when it comes, I'm sure you see it. I can't speak to this situation because I've never been in it, but comes to your own children, you don't really want to ask anybody to help step in. So when somebody does and they're comfortable enough and you see that must be very rewarding, of course, for them and you guys as well.
So the Rutgers students go through intensive training so that they can then conduct themselves in a fit and proper, productive, and fun way to visit kids at the Children's Hospital. And as the person in charge of all this, and you say, hey, oh my gosh, I'm in charge, responsible for over years, thousands of college students, along with the advisors, their advisors at Rutgers. I can tell you that in the now, I think, 14 years of having this program, pairing up student groups and child patients, we've never had a complaint or issue that we had to sit down and seriously address through the training, and then the culture through the student groups through the years, through the culture at Embrace Kids, through the nurses and the counselors helping us train, manage, maintain these college students. We've not had an issue. That's amazing. I could tell you
That's
about
incredible.
Yeah.
Now, every day I still sweat it because you're only as good as your first big fail that everybody will then Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so to give an example, Armand, I think this is the one thing we had in like the past 5 years. There was a Rutgers student who would sometimes scold or correct the kid a little bit when he would misbehave in the clinic. I mean, not even like in a bad way, not yelling but just would say, oh, you really shouldn't do that, or you should. That was like the problem that we dealt with.
Yes.
That's pretty minor when it comes to college students.
Yeah.
Yeah, you took the question right out of me, because I was going to ask, how do you maintain, your farm club of college students? How do you keep them not I don't want to say in line, it's not the right word, but more like how do you have a consistent message where, this is, the code of conduct, this is kind of what our goal and our objectives are. Like, how do you go about like coaching them up or kind of getting them assimilated in the right way so that it is somewhat of a consistent model, if you will? Like, how do you go about doing that?
Well, that's part of the training. So training we do at the beginning of the academic year. After that, the follow-up is what's really more important. We're constantly communicating with the student organizations. We're helping facilitate communication with them and the patient families to help build a relationship. And then on top of that, about once a month, we'll have a check-in meeting. So each student organization, they have two student leaders who are the liaisons from the organization to Embrace Kids. So Glenn and myself are in constant contact with them. We get to know these students so well. Actually, like in another benefit, which I never really saw coming, I guess an unintended consequence of this, was we get to build relationships with these students. We maybe meet them when they're 19, 18 years old. We see them throughout their college career, because once they're part of this community and once they're part of the RE for Kids program, they never leave. And we see them develop and mature and grow as from a college student to becoming a young adult. And we've seen them and even assisted them in getting jobs and starting their careers, and you get to see them become productive members of society. It's so great. So that's really what the playbook is consistently keeping in contact, making sure that the students who visit are healthy, that they're following the guidelines in terms of visiting rules, posting on social media, like all that stuff. We make sure we're on top of, and we're constantly following up. And then with that, we've been able to just build these incredible relationships with student volunteers who are just amazing, amazing individuals. I can't say enough good things about these kids, because they're giving up time from their college experience to spend time with these kids, and they really grow to love these families. So that's always, that's something that we're always checking in on with them. And then even beyond that, one of the toughest parts is sometimes the child's health situation doesn't turn out well. The child passes away. Student group. Glenn and I always make sure, we are the ones who inform the college students that about the bad news of their child. And that's the toughest part of this job, is because to see someone else suffer is so terrible, and it really hurts me a lot when these college students are visiting. They're having fun experiences visiting. It might be that they visited their child, and then 2 weeks later the child passes away, and for them they can't comprehend it because they were playing games, they were laughing 2 weeks ago, and then now that the child is gone. So that aspect of this is, but we make sure that we're really there for the students, to support them. We speak to the whole student group, and we make sure that they're there for each other as well, and that we're there for each other, because at the end of the day, it is one community, and we get through it together. But that aspect of it can be really tough. So we really try to make sure that we're there to fully support the students, and then also work with them, train them on that.
It's all part of the culture. So the light interaction, fun and laughs are part of the culture. The loss is part of the culture, and so then that's how we treat student groups. When you ask, how do you end up with students, college students, that perform so well, that come through? It's selection. The student groups usually send us their best ambassadors. It's training, it's daily obsessive follow-up and communications. It's having if you want someone to perform well, have high expectations of them, but then also follow up, and then we hold people accountable. So with the policies that we have, we don't get into exceptions. As an example, you need to have certain vaccines to visit the medical program. There's zero exceptions. You might have, who knows, we get reasons from religion to my mom doesn't want me to do it. We say, I can't make you get a vaccine. You can't make me let you visit a sick kid. So that's all. We just, we have word tracks for things. And because over time we work with these groups, they take pride in it. They feel the fun emotion of it. They also know the weight from the other part. So I think all that is a tapestry for a more educated, prepared, responsible college student that could then hit the ball out of the park with college energy and fun and laughs. That adults, you get to a certain point in your life. The college students, this is fascinating. They often, even though they know it's kids with cancer or blood disorders, they just don't have the same sense of seriousness about it. But that's a great thing when you go in and play video games and they try to beat the kid. They try to beat the kid.
Oh, yeah.
Which is what the child needs. Everyone's already bubble.
Yes.
They need somebody to go in and have laughs and play with them. That's priceless. So that's where a college student is so invaluable. And because they're invaluable, we work so hard to make it work, from a behavior, compliance. I mean, even down to attire for the men. There's a Glenn rule. I say
Glenn
that.
rule?
Yeah, it's a little arbitrary.
What's that?
It's a little arbitrary. No wearing baseball. Okay? There's no wearing baseball hats at the clinic or the children's hospital. Why? Because as a guy, I know, well, you likely didn't shower that day. So women laugh. They don't get all this. But men, they get it in college. Oh, you just throw on a hat, you roll out of bed, you go and do stuff. No, you will show up at the
That's good. No, that's good.
Glenn rule, right?
Yes.
And zero tolerance. We'd see a guy, excuse me, no. You're going to come looking a certain way, starting with you showered that day, okay? That's a key part. T-shirt that's appropriate. You don't have to dress fancy. No inappropriate T-shirts. Yeah.
Yes.
Girls can't wear baseball caps either then, because girls don't, sometimes they don't wash their hair and stuff. So it's got to go both ways.
Well, I'll tell you, sometimes, so with the young men, it'd be the baseball hat, and then sometimes with the young ladies, it would just be maybe showing a little bit too much for a kid's clinic. That, sometimes girls in college, tops or things, you just,
Yeah, just being careful.
yes.
Very neutral playing ground where, basic plain shirts.
Think Disney rating.
Disney
Yeah.
rating.
That's a good rule.
Yeah.
The Glenn Disney rule.
G-rated.
I'm going to incorporate that with our first year staff.
Yes.
I'm going to teach you guys the Glenn rule.
Yes. Because, when you set those small expectations and follow up, that leads to the bigger expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And they're no nonsense. That guy rolled up and said, I got to go because I'm wearing a baseball hat.
Yeah. And it's happened before we sent kids home. Yeah. College students
That's
home.
the bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's important because also, we expect them, as Glenn said, we hold them to the highest standard, and they're visiting this clinic in the hospital, and they're representing themselves, but also representing Embrace Kids, and the medical team is there, the nurse is there, the doctors are there, and they need to do their job. They can't be worrying about what some college student is doing. So it's important because they know that we got this. They know that Glenn and Armand, they're on top of this. They're running this program well. So like when those little things are going right, and they're running smoothly, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. Everyone knows that the machine is well oiled and it's going well. There won't be incidences.
Yeah. No distractions for really what the whole goal of what everybody's trying to do is.
Yes, exactly.
Set high expectations.
That's a good thing.
No, it is. And if you don't do that, you get a smorgasbord. So that's how you create consistency among constituents. And really, I mean, a lot of times people are more naive than they are violating rules, right? So they just don't know. And if you say, listen, don't do it, they'll be like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that was the thing, or that was, I didn't know the Glenn rule. Well, now you do. Now don't do it again. But if you don't have that, if you don't have those very simple, I don't want to call them traditions, but very simple protocols, you'll get a wide variety of just across the board because most people just don't know. So it's good. It's good that you do that. I think that really just helps in building the culture that you're mentioning and really kind of solidifying it, if you will. So it's cool. So how have you guys? So now obviously we're in 2020. How have you guys pivoted your programming and your activities now that we've kind of went into this very contagious world that we live in with our COVID-19 friend that we're all dealing with? How have you kind of transitioned, if you will, into our next level of 2020?
So I don't think we're gonna say that we have pivoted. We're gonna be candid and just say we're getting by. We're getting by because everything that we just talked to you guys about is in person. It's showing up. I was trying to think of concepts of showing up. So we show up for tears, hugs, laughter. Those things are tough to do remotely. So we're doing web chats with families. We're starting to do that between the student groups. But most of what Embrace Kids does right now is sidelined. The best parts are sidelined. Okay. The parts that really, move a person, the parts that are soulful, they're on hold. But we can pay bills for families, which Armand will really explain in a minute. And we can help solve other problems, transportation, babysitting, things like that. So the most special parts are on hold. Some of the most critical parts, like bills, we could do remotely.
Yes. So we've actually increased the financial assistance that we provide for families because this pandemic has really affected, well, in a financial sense, affected the working class. And a lot of our families who we support are working poor. They live paycheck to paycheck, week to week. And many of them, beyond the struggles that they experience going through cancer treatment or treatment for whatever illness their child may have, they already have those struggles, and then the financial burdens added with that treatment. But the pandemic shutdown only exacerbated those issues. So during this time, we've really stepped up in terms of what we do. So what we do to help offset costs of added expenses in regards to treatment, travel, co-pays, stuff like that, expensive medication, and then and also to help offset lost income, we paid bills directly for patient families. So rent, mortgage, utilities, phone bill, cable bill, some stuff like that. We're able to just cut a check directly to the biller, and obviously with the family's account number, so it's credited to them. And that way it's just, we can wipe the slate clean for a lot of these families, and they don't have to worry about those bills. And then also it could free up money for them to use on gas, groceries, or other expenses. So it really gives a family the freedom and peace of mind to continue on with their lives and focus on what matters, which is their child and the child's health. So the emergency financial assistance program, that's what it's called, is really, really crucial for these families. So we've really stepped up and diverted all our resources and all the fundraising that's come in directly to that. And every 2 weeks, we're cutting checks. We're sending out money for bills because the families really need it right now. And then on top of that, we also have Visa debit cards. I see have really nice, the brand Embrace Kids, but right over here. So
Very nice.
yeah, so they're really nice. So we just give those to families. They can just use those as they need for gas, groceries. So it's really important right now to help these families financially. And as Glenn said before, we're always gonna be there for these families. We're gonna do what we need now. And at this moment right now, they need that extra financial assistance. Many of them, for different reasons, didn't qualify for unemployment insurance. So they're really struggling. So we're really stepping that part, the emergency financial assistance, up right now. And all donations are going 100% to that direct aid to these families.
That's phenomenal. So do you go through those branded cards? Is that like through like a Visa program? Is there a?
It is.
Yeah, that's cool.
We love it because the front, which Armand showed you, says Embrace Kids, and the actual card is Embrace Kids branded. So I'm going to give you an example of one case today where we're FedExing out cards, Visa cards, to a family. It's a single mom. Child has a very rare progressive cancer. And so she's on government programs. What she gets from the government is fixed. She was behind on her utility bill. She thought she was setting up a payment plan, future payments out of her one bank account toward the utility. The bill went to collection. The bill collection company then had her account information, pulled the full $400 that she owed to keep the power on. So now she has a negative $140 balance. So until she gets her next government assistance deposit, literally this lady and kid, they have nothing. They have no resources, and we know them. So that hits you that if they needed something today, and it's hard, it gets, we get upset about it, like they can't go today and buy something if they need it. So the gift cards are great because they'll be at her apartment tomorrow. And then at least it's a backup plan for some groceries or a prescription, or whatever.
Yes. So. And that story is all too familiar. There's so many single parent households, single moms who we help out, who are in just vulnerable positions, and they're unsure, uncertain how to handle certain things. So we're really able to empower them and uplift them and give them empower them really by helping them out financially, so they're really able to provide for their families. So it's really, really special. We're very proud to support these patient families who really need it right now.
Well, yeah, and the last thing anybody needs to just tip the scale the wrong way is financial, a financial issue or that exact issue that you just described. And by you, in a very, very positive and powerful gesture, correcting that, it probably helps on so many levels that people can't quantify, right? If you've ever been in those scenarios, and some of us have been in those scenarios, you don't know what it does for you just to be like, oh my God, like I just corrected this thing that was just weighing me down, and now I can focus on the thing that's really important, which is my child. Okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? Okay, we need immediate supplies and food to just our basic needs for the day, and now I don't have to worry about it. I think that probably just creates hope for people that when you have those, everything seems like it's working against you, and then all of a sudden some things corrected out of the goodness of someone else's heart. I think that should be a message for everybody to take into account. Donate when you can. This is the real impact it's having. And I think that's an very important message.
it was a solvable problem and one we could turn
Totally
around
solvable problem.
pretty quick with resources. It's actually the kid's birthday this week as well.
Oh, I didn't know that actually. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't even get to. I
Cool.
know. So many
Nice.
things happen in our world. We do this all the time. Like, I tell you, that just happened 2 hours ago, 4 hours ago, 8 hours ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's her birthday. So now also the gift cards, cake or whatever mom wants to do.
Yeah.
A little
Create a sense of normalcy a little bit.
That really hit me. I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago maybe, and the one mom, she had no resources left for her child's birthday. Not even to do like a $5 cake from ShopRite or something like that. She didn't have any money for that. And I remember she came to me and she sort of broke down. It's like one of the first times that she broke down, really. But she just felt so low because she couldn't give her kid the birthday that she wanted. So she was, and that really hit me because, you see someone just break down and they can't provide their kid a birthday. I know my parents always try to make my birthday special. I'm sure that's a big part of parenthood, I guess, is making your child's birthday memorable, even if your child doesn't remember it. What was that?
I said no question. Yeah,
yes,
I mean,
exactly. So
you want to do everything in your power, no matter what whether it's your last dollar or whatever it is. You know that day, for whatever reason, it's just a traditional, very important thing for a child to experience, and it's just it's a big thing.
Yeah. It's their child's day. That's their day, and so just by being able to help her out with gift cards and then getting a cake and stuff like that, organizing the birthday party for the child as well, really able to make a difference. And you can just see the way that her eyes lit up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. Do this.
And that's why it all goes back to where we started chatting today, with the communication, with the bridge, with the relationship, with the confidence, with the trust, because we need the parent to come forward and tell us these things so that we could solve them. Listen, the four of us, each of us on this call, could help afford get a kid a birthday cake. You just think it's not. We have to know. So we have to have they have to have the confidence and trust and comfort. It's not easy, sometimes for the parents to communicate these things. When they do, we can solve. So we just need to know we can solve. Can't solve medicine. Solve a lot of everyday issues. So.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues in our society historically and now, and even more now, is how do you get the right resources to the right people, right? Like how do you get resources in an effective manner, in an efficient manner, in a cost-effective manner to the right people? And what you're doing is doing that. So how do you kind of expand on that? I wish our country could expand on that model to a degree, because even with all this COVID stuff and all the funding, not COVID stuff, but the CARES Act funding and everything going on, it was like they were trying to create these massive programs, and still there were so many people that were left out of these programs, even though they spent trillions of dollars to try. Yeah. There are still so many people that were left short of those programs, and there are people that actually, sadly enough, that benefited from all of this stuff, whereas other people didn't get that aid. So what you're doing is such an important part, and I wish there was a way to build that to a bigger degree, in the sense of how do more people find out about how to give to you? How do more people find out about the benefits you're doing? I think it's just important to focus in on that and just have more Embrace Kids of the world to who really make a direct impact. I mean, you're anytime you're working directly with families and children, you're making that direct impact, and it just goes such a long way. I wish there was
to relate it to the CARES Act and government spending, we're doing something that no one's really doing for the poorest or least fortunate people. That's lobbying. Okay, we call it advocacy, or we're ambassadors. What you're talking about is lobbying, and the truth is there's no lobby for underprivileged people. There's lobby for big companies and special interests and a lot of other things. And for people, that earn under $40,000 a year, there's not a lobbyist for that. Okay, there's certain groups that try a little bit to advocate. So
Mhm.
You can't.
Yeah.
yeah, we're ambassadors, and we try to tell the stories, everyday stories to people so that they give. And what we can say is that we'll help a family immediately. If we have a donation online today, we could translate that into gift cards that go out by FedEx tomorrow. So we take pride in the immediacy.
Yes. And it's so great being able to do that, because there's so many times where the family might come to us a little late in the game, where they might have a $1,500 PSE&G shut off notice if they don't pay it by this time. And, for many reasons, maybe they were ashamed, or they felt bad, or they didn't want to come to us. But even no matter what the reasons may be that they waited, or it's last minute, we can put that money into use, and we can make sure that that light bill doesn't get shut off. So.
Definitely. Well, we're glad that you guys came on today, because that's a part of what we're trying to do, just linking the right people together, getting messages out there. So if people want to support you or donate their time, whether it's a college student or an adult or someone in their 20s or anybody wanting to volunteer, just any sort of resource they can give to you, what can our listeners do?
So for throughout the COVID period, which seems like, it's at least going to be 4 or 6 months, we'll say, in general, it's really donations. If you go to embracekids.org, you can donate. And then when you go and donate, you could put a note in the memo, pay a family's rent or provide a kid's birthday. So people could go and do that immediately, and we can turn around those donations quickly. And then for after May 1st, we're planning to go back to having events. We're going to have a huge walk in late May. Hopefully everything will stay on track, to be able to have a big outdoor walk in late May. That would be the first we really could have volunteers at. The Rutgers students come through certain programs, certain organizations, through Dance Marathon, through Rutgers Dance Marathon. So if a Rutgers student heard this and wanted to do something today, we would say, go get involved with Dance Marathon. Then there's a structured student leadership team, advisors, all that helps Embrace Kids.
Great. Well, keep us in the loop on the walk, because we'll get a big Witham team showing up.
Definitely.
Well, Witham's been great. For 15 years, Witham has had representation at our events. You guys have done Thanksgiving, which, I can't believe we're not doing. It's a tough reality. Witham provides meals, Thanksgiving meals at the Children's Hospital. And we go in, set up a beautiful spread, and we bring Thanksgiving to people that are stuck at the Children's Hospital. So thank you to Witham. And boy, it hurts. We won't be doing that this year.
Yes. Seriously, as Glenn said, thank you very much. The Thanksgiving meals that the employees of Witham have always provided are so good. The families love them, because it's great, because the people sign up for the best side dish that they can make. And so it's like everyone's top tier dish, try it. So it's delicious. But
I always hit up the mashed potatoes. I'm like, mashed potatoes, baby.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah, the mashed potatoes are wonderful. But it's but even beyond that, just all the events and the support that as a whole community with them supported Embrace Kids. We're really grateful for that. So thank you for even giving us this platform as well to share our story. We're really grateful for this as well.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. And Glenn, I know I forgot to ask, but I know before this, we conversed a little bit about, what you learned kind of as a nonprofit through this COVID time, and small little message. I know you're talking about, providing financial assistance and all of that. Do you want to share a little bit about that, just about reserve fund?
Sure. So for the past 15 years, each year, Embrace Kids, we made sure we took 2, 3, 4, or 5% of what we raised throughout the total year and put it into a rainy day fund. And when you do that year over year, then you have a reserve fund that gets us through a tough year like 2019 or 2008, 2009. So, it's hard to believe we now had two massive financial plus crises in 12 years. But that's definitely a message, to other groups. And obviously, it's tough to say that today to nonprofits. But for 2021 or 2022, whatever you can, just take a small piece and put it aside so you can be there when people need it most. This year and next year will be the years people needed it most in a 10-year period. So if you can do that and put something aside, because you know what? You can always find a way to spend the money. A great way, a just way, a needed way. But when times are tough like now, it's very hard to come up with the funds.
Yeah, very, very important. And like we've been saying, we really appreciate the work that your organization's doing, and obviously, we notice it and we see it, and we appreciate you just sharing your message and just sharing some information, stories, and kind of what's going on the ground. It's very helpful. To put context even to people's donations, just know how far your donation goes. I mean, $100 could keep the lights on for somebody for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, and otherwise they wouldn't have that. And so, putting that, a lot of times it doesn't always get to context when you get an email or you get some, communication, but when you hear it and you hear, you gentlemen who are actually physically in the hospital, who are physically working with the Rutgers students, who are physically, writing the checks out to the families. I mean, the impact it has. And so just, being able to hear that directly and to hear that fully, not just an email or anything like that, it really goes a long way. So we really appreciate you just sharing the message, and I hope that people continue to support and to provide funding to the programs, because it really does go a long way.
The patient families are so appreciative. They've even, given us permission to share their child's first name and a photo, back to donors. They want to do that.
Oh, wow.
They want to say thank you, and they want to be known and put a face forward. And they also want to validate people's generosity. They understand that that's important with giving, that you really need to show, document, validate donations. So we can do that. We do that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. It really is.
Amazing.
So like I said, we really, really appreciate your guys' time today. Any other closing thoughts? I know we just talked about a lot. Anything else you want to end on, or good to go?
Love kids, love dogs and all animals, love people.
But thank you for your time, and as Glenn said, seriously, just try to support the people around you as best as you can. There's always someone who's struggling and going through something. So that's what the Embrace Kids is all about, is just uplifting everyone. And we're just one community. We're getting through this together. So as cliche as that is, that's true for Embrace Kids. We're going to uplift every one of our patient families, everyone in our community together.
When people are struggling, go toward them. Don't second guess. Well, maybe I shouldn't bring it up. I don't know if I should do this. Go toward them. Okay, with communication and even something else that hopefully we all get back to, a hug. Hug goes a long way in life. And especially I say this to people, sometimes you don't know what to say. You don't know you just don't have the words. And a hug can say a lot and say it better. So.
A hug can just change somebody's day and beyond. There's studies behind that too. Getting outside, giving people hugs, both positive.
Yes.
All right. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks so much. We'll see you. Hey, Warriors. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to Civic Warriors, and thanks for all your support. Have a great day.